Hello, I'm Dean Cantu, Executive Director of the Illinois Council for the Social Studies and Professor and Chair of Teacher Education at Bradley University. And I want to provide you with an overview here of the new K through 12 social science standards for the state of Illinois. The title of this session is Placing the New Illinois Social Science Standards in Historical Perspective. And what I want to do is just real briefly here provide you with a little bit of a historical context for the new standards, sort of the guiding documents, if you will, and then also provide you with just a little bit of an introduction to the new Illinois Social Science Standards. So let's get started here. The new Illinois State Social Science Standards were completed in 2015. And you can see here a number of individuals worked on that effort. And you see them listed here. We have the names of the individuals as well as their affiliation, whether it's schools or professional organizations. And I was very fortunate to participate in this effort on behalf of the Illinois Council for the Social Studies. And again, this was really spearheaded by a number of individuals, particularly Sean Healy, as well as some others throughout the state representing the professional organizations and as well as classroom teachers here. So we're going to, before we look at the standards, we're going to go back and trace sort of the origin, if you will. Certainly what we're looking at here is a document that is replacing the current Illinois learning standards for social studies or social science, and you are probably already intimately familiar with these standards. Again, you have the 5 goals made up of the various disciplines that comprise the social sciences or social studies. Government civics, which here is goal 14, political systems. Economics, goal 15. History, which is state as well as U.S. and world history. And environmental history, and that is goal 16. Geography, goal 17. And social systems, which sort of combines the, the behavioral sciences of anthropology, sociology, and psychology. Again, this is the document that's been in place for a number of years, and it is the new social science standards that will be replacing this document as the guiding K-12 social studies or social science standards for Illinois. If you go back here, sort of this past, present, future context in which we're looking at these these documents here that help to inform the new social science standards, you have to look at the Common Core state standards, and again, as you're familiar, these are the guiding documents for the Illinois standards, Common Core standards for English language arts as well as for mathematics. In the case of English language arts, there is a strand entitled Literacy and History, Social Studies, Science and Technical Subjects. That helped to inform the C3 framework, which was a guiding document for the Illinois social science standards as well. Again, if you look at the standards, there's a lot of emphasis on historical analysis, interpretation, primary, secondary source documents, and so on. A lot of what you find in the history strand within the C3 framework and within the new Illinois social science standards, a lot of those are aligned with the Common Core standards, the literacy and history, social studies strand, if you will, from the CCSS English language arts, both with respect to reading as well as the writing standards. And you can see here in terms of the reading, for example, here, number 1, site-specific textual evidence to support analysis of primary and secondary sources, connecting insights gained from specific details to an understanding of the text as a whole. A lot of the focus here, again, on this strand within the English language arts Common Core state standards are found in the new social science standards as well. And again, they literacy and history social studies strand. Also, you'll find the writing section. A lot of this is connected as well with what we're doing in the new Illinois social science standards. Kind of go through here. And you can see that reflected as well. Another document or set of documents that help to inform the process of writing the new Illinois Social Science Standards were in fact the other national standards documents. You're probably already familiar with the National Standards for History, which is produced by the National Center for History in Schools, the Government Civic Standards, Economics Standards, the National Voluntary Standards for Economics, the Geography Standards, and then of course the NCSS standards with the 10 themes, interdisciplinary themes, and then the APA's high school psychology standards. All of these documents have been in place for a significant period of time. Some of them go back to the late 20th century, the 1990s, and some of them are in their second version, version 2.0 or 3.0. These were documents, again, that those individuals who worked on the Illinois social science standards were very familiar with, and you'll see that reflected in the standards as well, although we went well beyond that. And then you have the C3 framework, and again, this was the document that's been designed to facilitate the work of states in developing new social science standards, and that's exactly what was done in this process as well. The C3 framework has been out there for a couple of years to be used for this purpose. If you look at the emphasis of the C3 framework, you still have the emphasis on the disciplinary tools and concepts you see down there in the lower left-hand corner, but you also have emphasis on inquiry, and on, as you can see there, what are entitled social studies dimensions, questioning and planning inquiries, and as well as evaluating sources and using evidence, and then communicating conclusions in order to take informed action. Again, you can see already some of the parallel with what is being emphasized in the Common Core State Standards. The History of Social Studies strand is reflected here as well. What you've got here are some slides. The next slides introduce the C3 framework, and I provide this to you again as an introduction to it if you're not familiar with the C3 framework itself. But as it says here, it's an interdisciplinary exploration of the social sciences, humanities, including civics, history, economics, and geography. And again, it's to develop responsible, informed, engaged citizens and to foster civic, global, historical, and geographical and economic literacy. You can see here the objectives. I'm not going to go through each of these slides individually. They're there for you to go back. I think it's sort of an intuitive design here in terms of how it introduces each of those major areas within the C3 framework. But again, the ultimate goal is for students to study civics, economics, geography, and history, and to become active and engaged citizens. And you can see here there's also an appendix that includes psych, soc, and anthropology. And again, emphasis is on skills and practices as preparation for that democratic decision making, and the emphasis on literacy in those various disciplines. So you have basically as the foundation of the C3 framework the inquiry arc, the disciplinary literacy, and then civic life. You can see there are 4 dimensions. Dimension 1, as we talked about before, developing questions and planning inquiries. Dimension 2, the disciplinary tools and concepts. Dimension 3, evaluating sources and using evidence. And then you have communication, conclusions, and taking informed actions. So again, the next slides here introduce the C3 framework, and it goes through, and there's even a section that talks about the relationship with the Common Core standards, and it goes through each grade level and introduces the different dimensions, the different disciplinary strands, all that lead up to, you can see here the appendix with the 3 disciplines we just talked about. All of this leading up to the new social science standards, which we will look at in the next video segment.